I want to welcome everyone to this very special occasion here at the Headliners Club. Come on around, we'll have a couple of interesting folks that are going to talk to you in a minute. Doesn't include me. Well, I'm Don Carlton. I'm the director of the University of Texas Center for American History. And I want to welcome you to this very special event here. This is a very special event for the center. We're here basically for two reasons. One is to celebrate the establishment of the Tom Wright Photographic Archive at the center, and to celebrate the forthcoming appearance of Tom Wright's new book, Roadwork, which the Hal Leonard Company is publishing later this spring. I'm assuming that most of you have taken the opportunity to view the television monitors around the room and see the small sample of images from the Tom Wright archive that we now have at the center. In addition, there are blads of his new book that are placed in various locations around the room. And I think we're also going to be handing out some blads to you as you leave. If you haven't had an opportunity to view any of these by now, I hope you will do so at the end of the program. Now, a few people have asked me why an American History Research Center would establish an archival collection of rock and roll photographs. Not too many people, but some, so I thought So I do want to take a moment to answer that question. Before I do, however, I think it's very important to emphasize that Tom Wright's work has been wide-ranging, and although his rock and roll photography is a major component of that work, Tom's photographic subjects have been diverse, really, and his work goes well beyond only one topic, and I really want to emphasize that. He's a very eclectic photographer in terms of his subject matter. For example, Tom has done some very important work in San Antonio, some of it connected to his relationship with the legendary Tex-Mex restaurant Mi Tierra. Many of you have spent a few evenings in that restaurant in San Antonio, but also including a number of other projects in San Antonio and elsewhere in Europe and other places. But let's go back to the rock and roll question. Historians have a saying that everything has a history and everything belongs to history. Our colleagues who are social historians have pioneered that concept. So the fact is that the history of the touring rock and roll industry, especially during the 1960s and 1970s, is an important subject for social and cultural historians. Tom's archive provides significant visual documentation of a profoundly important era in American popular culture. Tom has an incredible eye for a scene. He is a documentary photographer who has avoided the cliched view and the posed grip and grin photo op. His archive's not full of that kind of thing. His archive is filled with candid behind-the-scenes images that convey the reality of a music scene that has had a profound effect on an entire generation of Americans. Even his photographs of performances on stage convey an uncanny sense of movement and action. One of my favorite Tom Wright photos is his shot of Rod Stewart in concert. In fact, there's one on the TV monitor right over there now, just by accident. That's the photograph I'm talking about. It looks as though it's really an amazing image. And I think you have a note card. You'll have a note card of this photograph and the material that we're going to give away. But anyway, it's an amazing image. It looks like Rod Stewart is literally flying through the air. And seeing that image really gives the viewer a sense of the energy, the sheer energy that these performances produced. And it's the work of a highly skilled documentary photographer as well as an artist, someone who could capture that and convey that sense of energy. They're just not stills, you know. You get a sense of movement from his photography. And that's the reason the center wanted this archive. It's visual evidence that can be used for research and teaching. And anyone seeking to understand an era that many have called a true musical renaissance. You have to listen to the music, of course, but we think the visual evidence is also important. So please join me in thanking Tom Wright for entrusting his treasure trove of photographic images to the University of Texas Center for American History. When I was growing up in East Dallas, my mama told me, son, if you ever find yourself hosting an event and sharing the podium with the likes of Ian McLaughlin, Joe Walsh, and Pete Townsend, not to mention our guest of honor, photographer Tom Wright, the best thing you can do, son, is just say hi, yell next, and then get the heck out of the way. I'm paying heed to Freudian slip here. Very Freudian, but that's passé now. Freud's out. All right. I'm paying heed to that advice, but only partially because I want to make a point about the first guy I'm inviting to come to the podium. You know, native Texans such as myself can get very carried away with the idea that we are Texans. But I'm not that impressed with native Texans because, after all, we're all here by accident. The Texans who really impress me are those who become Texans by choice, not by accident. Ian McLaughlin is a Texan by choice, and his decision to make Austin his home has enriched the music scene here by a degree that is simply immeasurable. Please join me in welcoming one of the legendary musicians of rock and roll, Ian McLaughlin.
I'm going to keep this short because I am, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Tom. I met him in Detroit. It was either 70 or 71. Those were very shady areas. Years flew by very quickly. My door started knocking about 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd gone to bed about 5, so I wasn't happy, and I said something to the effect of, if you don't get away, I'm going to kill you. And it continued to bang and knock, and so I opened the door, and I was facing this character, Tom Wright, and Chooch McGee, two guys who eventually would work for us for a number of years. They lied to me. He said, actually, he didn't lie straight away. He said, I've got a limousine. He said, I've got a location that's beautiful. We're going to take photographs of you. He said, I've got drugs and alcohol. You don't have to worry. I said, go away. And he said, everybody knows about it. You're the last one to tell. He lied. Nobody knew about it. It was a total con, but it was very good. So he's a liar. That's the first thing you'll know about Tom. Then when he did take great pictures, he said he was going to take the best pictures, and he actually did, which is, so, half lie. Then, on the road, the best room after a gig was his room, because his bathroom, the bath was full of the photographs being developed that he'd taken that day. So you always knew what was going on or what had gone on because it was in the bath. Which brings me to another thing, you see. Tom never had a bath during the whole tour. So he's dirty and he's a liar. But he did take the best pictures. And we thought he was ours, that the faces had, our official photographer was Tom Wright, he was ours. Then it turns out he's the Who's official photographer. He's Joe Walsh, he's everybody, the Eagles. You're a liar, Tom. And you're dirty. But I love you. And I think the fact I'm here today is because he made me famous in print. So I'd like to pass you over to Joe Walsh, who'll tell some other lies. Please, Joe.
Thank you, Ian. Well done. Well done. My name's Joe Walsh. I've been thrown out of some of the finest hotels in the world. I don't know when I actually, well, I do know. At the Grandee Ballroom, I think Tom was managing the Grandee Ballroom in Detroit. And I was in a band called the James Gang. And between, well, thank you. between our ride there from Cleveland and when we arrived in Detroit, 2 of the band members quit. And so there were 3 of us, and we had to play because we didn't have gas money to get home, and we did, and it was just somebody count off, and when everything's broken, we're done, pretty much. And Tom just was there. He just was there all of a sudden because he was managing the place. And he kind of took me under his wing, and I've known him 37 years, I think. And there's just 1 or 2 people who come into your life and profoundly affect your life, you know? And Tom did that. He was always a guru to me, and he would just talk to me and really talk sense. He just has this ability to say stuff. And in my going from college to having some success in my career, I was scared a lot. I had a lot of paranoia and just wasn't really sure where I was at. And Tom knew. And he would talk to me and he would tell me stuff that I really need to hear. I didn't probably want to hear it, but it was stuff that I needed to hear, and he was right all the time. So he's always been a kind of a guru, I think, to us all. A guy who would not kiss up, just straight across guy who you could talk to, and I really value that. The other thing is that you give Tom a couple $100, and anywhere you are, and he will, in a couple hours, be back with a bunch of stuff, and it will be a dark room. Anywhere. And he would do that. And one of the things in that stuff that Tom, it was very important to developing film, was a gallon bottle of the cheapest wine he could find. That was important. But I'm telling you, Tom just knew how to do it. He would shoot these pictures in the afternoon, and he was so transparent that you didn't even know he was taking pictures. And that's why we all look natural and unposed. Tom was just there, and you didn't even know that there was a camera on you. And he was able to really get us, all of us, being ourselves. But Tom would go in the darkroom, in some bathroom, in some Holiday Inn, and I would go in there because I wanted to learn about photography and how he did it. And we would talk for a long time, and he would go about his stuff. And he would just pour this stuff in, and he'd say, well, that's enough of that, pour that out, pour some other stuff in. And I would say, Tom, you know, I looked at the books and stuff, and isn't this supposed to be between so many degrees and so many degrees, and you pour it in and you have a timer. He says, nah, we're in a Holiday Inn, Joe. None of that matters. And then he would print this stuff out, and these incredible pictures would show up. And they're more real and lively than I think anybody could do in a studio with all those quality controls. And black and white photography, do it yourself, is going to be a lost art form pretty soon in this digital age. And I hope his next book is about technique, because it's a huge amount of wisdom that he can pass along. That's going to be gone pretty soon. And the rest of the things I want to say about Tom will be in my book. I can't really tell you now. And thank you very much.
Tom Wright. Tom, come on.
Thanks, Joe. Mac, Don, I'm going to take your mom's advice and get out of the way as quick as possible. And since you said the secret word there that I was transparent, I would like to be transparent and use this occasion for everybody in this room, most of whom I recognize. This is my attempt to thank you and show my appreciation for all the people that helped me just sustain myself and get this far down the road. And all of the important people are here. So I really appreciate you coming. And I enjoyed what you said there, Don, but I am going to take your mother's advice. And I'm going to introduce Pete, who is very articulate. And God knows what he's going to say, but I would rather not talk about myself. Pete?
Yeah. Well, this is a day that I never thought I would ever see happen. I really didn't. I knew that there were suitcases full of negatives. I knew that there was a camera in Tom's hand 24 hours a day. I knew that stuff was being produced over and over and over, and that it must be all magical and wonderful, and it's just so great, finally. And also that, of course, Tom had a very, very interesting, funny, and very cool story. But if you read my foreword to Tom's book, what I do is I give him credit for quite a few things. And one of the things I give him credit for is the fact that I think without Tom coming into my life, I don't think I would have heard the music that I heard that was so important for me when I was a kid, particularly R&B, but other music too, which Tom exposed me and a bunch of people at Ealing Art School to around 62, 63, probably 62. But also drugs. So we have a liar, and we have a man that does things in hotel bathrooms and can work miracles with $200, and he's also a filthy pusher who turns over, naive, innocent young boys from Ealing. And what you have in front of you now, according to the law, is a registered sex offender. So this is what becomes of you. I've said all the things that I really wanted to say in the foreword, it's all true. It's written in a clever way, I suppose, because I'm good at writing, but it's totally and completely meant and felt. And what's so fascinating about this is not just that I thought it would never happen. I knew one day somebody would want to collect and archive Tom's photos. I knew that if he died before the suitcase was properly opened and archived, somebody would take it and bring it somewhere like this. And I think it's fantastic that this is happening here. It's fantastic that it's happening in Texas. I think it's amazing that it's being done. And I do think that everything that you said is true, that this stuff, this picture here, I mean, how could the world go on turning without this? I also think it's remarkable, really. It needed a very, very acute, documentarian eye to capture that moment. And that's not at all posed. It's just something that was just happened to be happening. He didn't tear his trouser leg off and reveal his left testicle with a French horn in his hand because he knew that Tom was taking a picture. This was just a constant evolving thing. I've been a friend of Tom's for such a long time, and he really was the guy that made me feel that I could do what I do today. And I think what Joe said about Tom as a guru, he helped me greatly in 1989 when I was out on the tour with The Who. We had a 25th anniversary. And I think we grossed $86 million. And Tom made it clear that what was important was that I was wearing a baggy suit, of which he disapproved. And that was all that really mattered. And so, fuck the $86 million, I had to stop wearing the baggy suits because he knows what's right and he knows what's cool and always has. And I think that that's the thing really for me. It's a cliched word now, but you have to remember it. I was a West London kid. My dad was cool. He played saxophone in a band. He was the coolest guy I'd ever met. And I'd met some cool people, I suppose, but I didn't know what cool was in the way that we define it today until I met Tom. And that Tom affirmed the fact. I picked up a guitar, I played a few notes, and he went, "Wow, do that again." I did it again. Cool. And then he got his buddy Cam to come and listen, and that affirmation that the coolest guy at the college had recognised that I'd managed to rip off some Snooks Eaglin, and. I think that's all I really need to say. This is a fantastic day. I unfortunately don't know all the faces here, and it's so great to feel that, Tom, you do know all these people and that they're all a part of your time because, we haven't spent the last 30 or 40 years together. We've had some sessions as it's exactly like the one that Mac described. Although I remember ours as being great fun and just joyful, and mostly as I say in the foreword, kind of thinking, God, Tom made me look good and made me look gorgeous. And what's interesting is that a lot of photographers, that was not their intention. Their intention was to make me look as ugly as possible. No, now I'm not joking, because this is, I'm just a man. And I woke up every morning and I would look in the mirror like we all do, and I wouldn't find the things that were good about me. I would find the things that were bad about me, and it tended to be right here in front of me. Mac, my good friend, in his book, his name for me is Big-Nosed Cunt. This is so I look forward to James to Joe's biography, and I hope they all look forward to mine. I'm only kidding, Matt. And no, it's an expression of affection, wasn't it? And I won't tell you what I just called him before he called me that. It was something to do with being lower down here, wasn't it? And so it's great that this is happening. It's great that it's happening now. And I remember you, like I said, as the person that took photos that made me think, this is not about image. This is not about trying to make ourselves look good, bad, or indifferent. I think what you actually did on that day, we were in Florida, I think, and went off in our pseudo-psychedelic outfits. And I think Tom encouraged us to wear makeup. And my girlfriend Karen put makeup on us, and the photos are great. You know, we look healthy, we look young. We weren't healthy, but we look healthy. And I just remember it as a great day. One thing, you know, when people are describing seeing Prince, you know, you're the lucky ones. You know, this idea that there was a bathtub with Prince coming out of it. I remember once saying to Tom, do you ever print anything? And he went, I don't have any time. And I said, well, you know, you're taking pictures all the time, and you must have taken 60 rolls today. Just, you know, yeah, around that. And I said, well, when are you going to print them up? I said, oh, I don't know. And so my worry was that there would be like 40,000 million negatives, which would never ever get printed and never seen. And this archive will, of course, make sure that they're all properly looked after, examined, and any more gems like this will be pulled out and used to warn future generations of Americans that this baby boomer thing that happened must never, ever, ever happen again. Forget World War III. What we don't want is what follows, which is, you called it a renaissance. Jesus, that's a good one. A renaissance. I thought it was just people having lots of sex when the war was over. But it's a renaissance, and I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm so glad to be here today. And Tom, congratulations, congratulations, congratulations. How did God wake up one day and think, one last big Texan gag? Tom Wright will have 7 heart attacks in a row, but I'll just keep him going. Long enough for this. Congratulations.
Well, I've been around long enough to know there's no way to top any of that. So what I'd like to do is thank everyone for coming, thank the Headliners Club for allowing us to take over your club, thank my hardworking staff for all the work that you've done, and please stay here and have, we've got some beer and wine and everything else, and enjoy yourselves. Let's visit. Thanks for coming.